What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So we're going to be doing a power steering pump. I've been delaying this as long as possible, but it's getting really crappy to steer. So let me show you what parts I had to get, and while I'm at it, I'm going to replace the serpentine belt because you're going to have everything off anyways. So just may as well replace it while you have the fan shroud off and everything. So let's get to it. All right, so got a remanufactured power steering pump, got some power steering fluid, and then I got this pulley that's designed for Chevys and Fords. So I'll be returning that. I'll get 35 bucks back for that. So this power steering pump was 65 bucks with a $35 core charge. So once I get the core out, I'll return that. So between those two, that's 70 bucks that I'll get back. And then the belt, I have it in here. That was 30 bucks. So there we go. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take off this intake and then take off this top fan shroud. So I believe these are 10 mils. Those other bolts are going to be 8, so I'm going to get all those off. And then under here, you got to take this cover off, and those are 15 mil bolts. So I'll get that off and get back to it. All right, so now that we have the intake, the top shroud off, we're going to be taking off the fan. And what you do is just grab the crescent wrench, get it to the right size of that nut right there, and then just give the end of your crescent wrench a tap with the hammer, and it'll come right off. So I'm going to take that off, and then I'm just going to remove that bottom shroud so I have more room right here to pull this pulley. So we'll get to that point. Alright, so now, before I take off that pulley, I'm going to put some tension on this tensioner pulley. As you can see, it's going to loosen up that belt. I'm going to take this belt off real quick, and then what we'll do is we'll get it set up to pull on that. See how that pulley has a lip on it? Got these little tools that we rented. It's got 2 of these half moons that will go around it, just like that. 2 of them. There's a sleeve that goes over both of these to keep it together, and then all you do is just grab that bolt and start screwing it in. As you can see, just take your time and just do it slow. Other than that, so now what I ended up doing was loosening up this whole bracket. So that way, I'm just gonna drop this all down, not have to worry about any of these bolts. Alright, so as you can see, I just ended up pulling that whole side off. I wasn't able to stick my hand up underneath, so I just took that whole bracket off. It was pretty easy, and just a couple bolts, you're off. So then what I'm going to do is take off these mounting brackets right there. There's 2 bolts, and then I'm going to disconnect this hose right here. It just has a little clamp, you can see right there. Point to it. That right there. I'll take that off, and this whole power steering pump will come out. So that's what I'm gonna do. You guys do it whichever way you want. It's just how I'm doing it, and that's it. Alright, so once you get this old power steering off, you can see the new one versus the old. Come stand right over here, bud, so you can see. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to take out this guy right here. And at first you're thinking, I didn't know exactly what I was doing on this, so you can learn from me. You'll end up taking this cap off because this just sits on there, and then it has a metal retaining clip, and then this smaller clip as well goes on the top of this ring, and it goes in like this. So you're going to pop that out, pop off this metal retaining clip, and then you're going to slide this sensor off. Once that sensor is off, then you have full range of motion to put a socket on here or whatever, and you've just got to twist it. So I didn't have a socket, but as you can see, if you twist it, this whole thing will twist, so that way you can get the threads out right here. So when you put this new one in, you got some new gaskets. What we'll do is we'll replace these O-rings, and it comes in with this kit right here, so we'll just replace. Alright, so what I ended up doing is I got everything transferred over to this new power steering pump. Did that on the ground. So you can see that little sensor, that little bracket. That's where the first power steering line comes in. This is the other one. I still haven't taken the cap off yet. And then that sensor is plugged in. So now what I'm gonna do, it's gonna be a little hard with just one hand, but I'm gonna get it up in here. And I am gonna get this bolted down just like this. So I'm gonna do that real quick so I can get going. Alright, so I ended up putting that pulley on. It's in that toolkit that I rented out. All it does is just screw into there, and there's, yeah, it just presses right on. So now that I got both those lines hooked up and everything, I'm gonna just put this alternator on. Pretty simple. Just gonna roll it over, put the 2 bolts through, and get the new belt on there. Alright, just quick little update. Alternator's on, and that belt is on. All the bolts are tied up. Everything is nice and tight. So now what I'm going to do is put that lower front end shroud down in there. I'll obviously top off the power steering. That'll be in just a sec. And then I'm going to put this fan on real quick. So let me get to it. Alright, so you can see the lower fan shroud is on, and I wanted you guys to see this, so I barely got it threaded on there. You can see I screw it back on. And that's it. So I'll just snug that up just a little bit. And then I'm gonna put the top fan shroud on and then hurry and put my intake on. Okay, so ended up getting everything bolted in, ready to go. And I did top it off with some fluid. I left that cover off so I can inspect to see if I do leak. And don't mind that. That was from tearing stuff apart. Trying to get this thing started. Oh, first of all, got to connect the battery. Okay, so as soon as I connect that battery, I'll get to it. All right, so as I was tightening that bolt right there, see if you can see that. Yeah, that one right there. The wrench hit this coolant sensor. So now, scoot over here so you can see it. So I bought a new piece to replace that, and I relieved the pressure off of the radiator and everything. So now I'm just gonna hurry and try and install this and not lose all my coolant. And have to hold that light at the same time. Oh, this is not a good spot. This is... All right.
Light good?
Yeah, it's fine. I just don't want to lose all my coolant.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
If I can get this started. All right, so we ended up getting that all fixed up. Power steering. I can actually turn it with one finger now. Yes, there's a lot of coolant that came out of that little plug that I replaced, but it's fixed. So that's what that smoke is, just burning off of the header. And another way to check. It's gonna be kind of hard to see if it's the pump or not, but you get under right here and I don't see any leaks that are coming out. All right, so as you can see, there's no leaking coming out of the line up there or right back here. And on the back of the pump, there's no leaking at all either. And I went through and I cycled through it and everything looks really good. So we're gonna call that a success on this one. Success. All right. All right, so now that I know it's not leaking, I'm gonna hurry and put on this cover. I like to get everything started first.
Gosh.
All right, that's it.
Sweet.
All right, guys, so that's it for that video. The reason why it took so long is I had to go pick up this guy and his sister.
My bad.
Love it. But yeah, it didn't take too long. It sucks that you end up breaking other parts as you're doing another project, so just replace stuff if you feel like you need it. Especially like the serpentine belt. Really need to get that taken care of, so $30, everything was apart, may as well do it right then.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, guys, thank you for watching. Appreciate it.
See ya.
And watch the other ones.